Okay, so good afternoon to all, and as you all know that we are here for live interaction class under the platform NPTEL. The course name is Engineering Mathematics 1. Course code is NOCMA88, and it is our week 5. That is, it is our 5th live interaction class. And hi to all, I am your PMRF TA Shankhanarayan Chattopadhyay, and I am currently in my PhD second year at Indian Institute of Technology, Ropar. And you all know that the course instructor is Professor Jitendra Kumar. He is currently a professor as well as the head of the Department of Mathematics, Indian Institute of Technology, Ropar. So in the last, yes, hello, voice is not clear. Others are also having background voice, but today there is no background voice. Today only I am speaking. There is no background voice today. Is my fan sound is coming? Okay. Okay, so if my voice cracks, then please inform me. Right now, is it clearly audible, or I think you have some internet problem? Okay, in the last class we have yes, voice is not clear, it is breaking, but actually my voice is okay. I am proceeding. I will if sometimes you have some problem, I will upload the video in my YouTube channel, then there also you can listen. Okay, I currently don't think that it is because of me, because I have switched off my fan, and also I am having good internet connection today, and today there is no box sound and extra noise are coming. Okay, so I am starting. So in the last class mostly we have discussed about my screen is visible or not. Okay. So in the last class we have discussed about limit, continuity, differentiability of functions of two variables, and rather it was like a theoretical approach yesterday class. So in today's class we will try to solve more problems on differentiability and maxima and minima. And today we will close the chapter functions of several variables, and from next class we will start proceeding on improper integrals. Okay, so today it will be our last class for functions of several variables. In the very next class we will discuss improper integrals. So today is our last class for function of several variables, and in the next class we will start solving integrals, improper integrals or multiple integrals, and it will take 2 or 3 class. Then we will proceed to linear algebra, and lastly we will cover up the differential equation syllabus. Is it okay? So today I have some problems, some slides for you, and the problems mostly covers differentiability and maxima minima, as well as constant maxima minima covered by Lagrange's multiplier method, solved by Lagrange's multiplier method, and also conventional maxima minima of function of mostly two variables. And we will use the necessary condition and sufficient conditions which we have learned in our previous classes, and try to solve the problems based on differentiability and maxima minima for functions of two variables. Okay, So is question number 1 is visible? So first our question is that we have to show that the function fxy equals to x square plus y square is differentiable at AB. So fxy equal to x square plus y square. So fxy is a polynomial function, right? Fxy is a polynomial function. Why polynomial function? Because it looks like it contains only terms like x ki power n, y ki power n, and this and so on. So we have a polynomial function that we have to show that fxy equal to x square plus y square is differentiable at any point AB. So this AB is actually belongs to R2, that is the R2 plane, and x square plus y square, it is actually a quadratic polynomial, right? Its degree is 2. X has also degree 2 and y is also degree 2. So fxy is actually a homogeneous polynomial function. Okay, so what we have to show? We have to show that fxy is differentiable at any point AB. So how we will choose? So we will go according to the definition. So our first fxy to be differentiable, we have to determine two functions of h and k, where h and k are arbitrarily chosen variables, such that this h and k are nothing but h is increment along the x direction and k is increment along the y direction. Okay, so what we have to prove? That we have to prove that we are using the classical definition. So for differentiability of fxy, we have to find this epsilon 1 hk and epsilon 2 hk. This epsilon 1 and epsilon 2 must satisfy certain conditions. Okay, and what are those conditions? These conditions are f of a plus h comma b plus k, f of a plus h comma b plus k minus f of ab equal to ah plus bk plus h into epsilon 1 plus k into epsilon 2, and epsilon 1 and epsilon 2, they both marches to 0, they both tends to 0, they both tends to 0, as h and k they tends to 0, right? So where a and b, they are nothing but the first order partial derivatives. Is it clear up to that? We have written just the definition. Is it clear? So for differentiability, we have to find, so our first task is to determine epsilon 1 and epsilon 2 such that they satisfy these conditions, and we have values for this a as well as this b, and we have valid expression for fxy, and we will use that expression to determine this h and k. So can you please tell me that what will be the value of the partial derivatives at AB? What will be the value of fx and fy at the point AB? Please, anybody? Is my voice okay. No, it is x square plus y square, right? So what will be the first order derivative with respect to x? Priyanka, what will be the yes, you fumbled it. So I think Priyanka has written in the chat box that it will be 2x and 2y. No, it is also the incorrect answer. I have specified the point. Specified the point as AB. So the partial derivatives will be 2a as well as 2b, right? Are you covering the notes which I am uploading in the platform, that in my portal, when I am sharing my videos and my Google Drive? Okay, then it is fine. Okay, those notes are actually highly beneficial for you, because those notes are also made by, some notes are made by me, some notes are made by my professors also. So those are notes from my BSc class. So okay. Okay, if you are finding any questions in your mind when I will read, just please unmute yourself and communicate with me, because I am using my laptop, so it will be very difficult for me to see the chat box in a regular interval. I will try after 5 or 10 minutes, but if you are finding any difficulty, then please communicate with me, because it is a live interaction class, right? And also I have some good exercises for you, and I will upload, I will ask you to solve those questions, and we will together try to solve those questions. Okay, so is my screen visible now? Okay, thanks Abhishek Anand for the response. Okay, so our first task is to find this epsilon 1 and epsilon 2. That epsilon 1 and epsilon 2, that has some certain properties. According h and k accordingly tends to 0, and we know the values of the constants a and b, right? So let's move. We are using here the definition. We are just here clearly using the definition. So this is fxab, limit h tends to 0. So the increment, since we are taking derivative at the x direction, the increment will be at x direction. So it will be f of a plus h comma b minus f of b divided by h, then f of a plus h comma b. So what it will be? It will be a plus h, because see, f of xy is x square plus y square. So f of a plus h comma b will be a plus h whole square plus b square, and a plus h whole square is a square plus 2 twice a h plus h square plus b square, and f of ab is a square plus b square. There will be one minus sign, and if you just subtract it, you will get twice a plus h square, twice a plus h, and limit h tends to 0, it will give you twice a. Similarly, if you compute fyab, it will be, the increment will be on the b portion, because we are taking derivative with respect to y. So you have to consider increment on the y direction, and so it will be limit k tends to 0, f of a comma b plus k minus f of ab, and sorry, there is one typo, this will be k instead of h. Please note it that this term will be k, okay, because we are using notation k. So it will be limit k tends to 0, limit k tends to 0, f of a comma b plus k minus f of b divided by k. So here similarly, a comma b plus k, if you take the operator f, you will get a square plus b plus k whole square, and b plus k whole square will give you b square plus 2bk plus k square, and f of ab is a square plus b square. So if a square plus b square, if you minus 8, so you will get once again, it will be twice bk plus k square divided by k, and k will cancel 8, so you will get limit k tends to 0, twice b plus k, so it will be twice b, and hence what you will get, hence you will say from this relation that f of a plus h comma b plus k minus ab equals to a h plus bk. So you see that f of a plus h comma b plus k minus fab, what it is giving you? it is giving you a plus h whole square plus b plus k whole square, because f of a plus h comma b plus k is a plus h whole square plus b plus k whole square, minus a square minus b square, because f of a b will be a square plus b square, and minus sign will imply that it will be minus a square minus b square. So if you minus this and if you open the brackets, you will get twice a h plus h square plus twice bk plus k square. So see, we have written it in our required form. How? That it is ah plus bk plus h epsilon 1 plus k epsilon 2. How? That a is equal to fx, ab equal to twice a. We are taking here this twice a is nothing but our a, which is fx at the point ab. This b is nothing but fy at the point ab, whose the value is twice b, and we are choosing epsilon 1 as, this will be h into h square, right? So we can choose epsilon 1 as h and epsilon 2 as, conversely, epsilon 2 as k, right? So it will be h into h plus k into k. Is it clear? So epsilon 1 is h and epsilon 2 is k. So when h and k tends to 0, what will be the value of epsilon and epsilon 2? They will also tend to 0, right? So all our definition criteria has been satisfied. So what we can conclude? So we conclude that f of xy equal to x square plus y square is differentiable at any point ab. Is it clear? And the functions which are differentiable at any point, we call those functions as smooth functions, right? The functions which are differentiable everywhere, we call them as smooth function, right? So question 2, can you solve it? Question 2. Okay, I am giving all of you 5 minutes to please determine at least fx and fy, the partial derivatives. Okay. Yeah, question number 2. You try question number 2 first. Okay. Everybody please try question number 2. Okay, please try question number 2. First try to determine the partial derivatives at the point 0, 0. First try to determine the partial derivatives. what are the values of the partial derivatives? Anyone? So the partial derivatives, fx at 0 0 is also 0 and fy at 0 0 is also 0. What are the values of epsilon 1 and epsilon 2? Just write f of hk minus f of 0 0. So f of hk minus f of 0 0 will be h into k into h square minus k square by h square plus k square. Now from this expression you have to write it epsilon 1 and epsilon 2, right? What are the values of epsilon 1 and epsilon 2? Okay, it's an easy question, it should not take that much time. Very easy question. And this type of questions, if you are planning to sit in the examination, whether it will be like BTech course or in the NPTEL exam, these questions will come. This type of questions will come. Also, I have interesting problems for maxima and minima also today, and I think you can solve those maxima minima problems on your own. Yes. Sorry. Yes. Yes, you can also like, but that will be a difficult task. If you go from the definition, it will be easier. If you try to prove from continuity of the partial derivatives, then it will be a difficult task, because we have to determine the partial derivatives at not equals to 0 0, then you have to determine at 0 0. But just go through this approach, it will be easy one. Okay, I am giving you hints, right? So here AB is actually 0 0, right? So question 2, we are considered bothered about the point 0 0. Okay, now please respond with me. See, so what will be f of hk minus f of f0 0? It will be f of hk minus f0 0, right? So f of hk will be hk into h square minus k square by h square plus k square minus f of 0 0 means 0, right? So what you will get it? You will get it as hk into h square minus k square by h square plus k square. Now break it into two parts. What you will get? F of hk minus f of 0, 0. You will get it as hk into h square. That means h cube k minus h cube k by h square plus k square minus hk cube by h square plus k square. Right? So what will be your epsilon 1? Your epsilon 1 will be h. So h is there. So your epsilon 1 will be h square into k divided by h square plus k square. Right? And your that will be like if you take plus sign, then it will be minus hk cube by h square plus k square. So take k common, so you will get epsilon 2 as minus hk square by h square plus k square. Now h square k by h square plus k square, you just take the polar coordinate, it will converge to 0 as hk tends to 0. Similarly, minus hk square by h square plus k square, you take the polar coordinate, h equal to r cos theta, y equal to r sin theta. It will be in polar coordinate and it will convert it. You will get that they converge to 0 as h and k tends to 0. Right? Still not clear? Still ambiguity? Yes. Yes. No. Epsilon 1 will be first. What will be the first term? Tell me what is the first term? It is okay. Now take h common. What will be there? You will left with h square k divided by h square plus k square. Right? So it will be epsilon 1. You have got my point? And then there is left is minus hk cube divided by h square plus k square. Right? Now if you take k outside it, so what will be left? It will be left minus hk square divided by h square plus k square. Got it? Okay, now tell everybody that what are the expressions for epsilon 1 or epsilon 2 you got. Epsilon 1 is okay. What is the value of epsilon 1 right now? The epsilon 1 is okay. Abhishek Anand, is it right? H square k by h square plus k square. Okay. And what is the value of epsilon 2? Yes. Nitu? You did not got it? Okay, I will solve it by hand. Actually, I don't have solution of it. I also solved it in Scratch Scribble, and I also got like what I think Priyanka was responding, right? So okay, I got it. So I will like I will upload the handwritten solution. It will be okay. Those problems which I will give to solve you, I will solve them up at night and I will post it in NPTEL platform handwritten solutions. Okay. At least try on your own, because this type of questions will come in your like in your NPTEL exam, or you are planning for like Abhishek Anand, are you from BTech background? You are from BTech background? Okay. From which institute? Okay. Now very nice. So you will find these things very useful for your course also, right? Okay, just quickly I am showing you the linear algebra book. This is the linear algebra book, you can read it. And this is the, and also there are very lectures available in YouTube. Is my screen visible? This is Professor Gilbert Strange, and he offers free linear algebra courses, free linear algebra videos. Okay, see this person. Is my screen visible? Gilbert Strange lectures on linear algebra, MIT. So you have seen this previously? Okay, but try those to see those lectures from first to last. Also everybody, I request everybody. Okay, those who are in BTech class, this like 3 or 4 courses are very much will be beneficial for you. One is the calculus course, second is the linear algebra course, third is the differential equation, and fourth one is the probability and statistics. These 4 courses you have to study in your BTech from maths thing, whatever may be your background. Yes. Okay. Please. Okay. I am just writing something. YouTube videos you watch. Just note it, sir. Please note this thing. Okay. YouTube videos watch Gilbert Strange. I am writing his spelling. Gilbert Strange. Linear algebra. MIT. You just notice, sir, that YouTube videos watch Gilbert Strange linear algebra, and he is from MIT. Okay. Question number 3 also you will try that this function is though continuous and possesses its partial derivatives at 0, 0, but it is still not differentiable at the point 0, 0. So this question number 3 particularly will act as an this question number 3 will act as an counter example to show that a function though is continuous and possesses partial derivatives, still it is not differentiable at the point 0, 0. Okay. So question number 4 and 5 are direct examples from differentials. You have to implement differentials. Okay. Question number 6 is you have to find linearized value. So question number 6, can anybody try question number 6? A certain function z equal to fxy has values f of 2, 3 equal to 5 and fx 2, 3 equals to 3 and fy 2, 3 equal to 7. Find an approximate value of f 1.98, 3.01. हो पाएगा ये क्वेश्चन? Okay, I will upload some solutions. Question 2, question 3, question 6, I will solve it and I will upload it. Okay, but at least you guys try these questions on your own when you will get some spare time. There are also some questions. Okay, question number 9. How you will solve question number 9? You can implement chain rule or you can solve it directly, right? So question number 9, try. Everybody please try question number 9. Please try question number 9. And also question number 10. Please try question number 9 and question number 10. I am giving you 3 to 4 minutes. Okay, how we will solve it? So question number 9, just put twice y e की power x. So x is ln t square plus 1. So e की power x will be t square plus 1, right? And y is tan inverse t. So it will be 2 tan inverse t into t square plus 1. And minus ln z. Z is equal to e की power t. So minus ln z will be minus t. So actually w is 2 into t square 2 into tan inverse t into bracket t square plus 1 minus t. And now you can clearly, you have reduced it w as a function of t. So then ordinary derivative dw dt is valid. So now try to determine dw dt at t equal to 1. Everybody please try it. Question number 9. Yes. Question number it is 1 plus pi. Okay. 1 plus pi and other one is giving 3 plus pi. Okay, anybody else say? Please check once again. Will be 1 plus 5. The answer will be 1 plus 5. Okay. So w is 2 into t square plus 1 into tan inverse t minus t, right? So 2 into t square plus 1, first derivative 2 into t square plus 1 will be 4 into t into tan inverse t, right? And if you just take it as 2 into t square plus 1, then you differentiate tan inverse t, then you will get 1 by t square plus 1. So it will yield you 2. And if you then take minus ln z, so ln z will be e to power t, so it will be minus t. So it will be minus 1. So overall you will get 4t tan inverse t plus 1. And 4t, t is equals to 1, so it will be 4 into tan inverse 1, it will be pi by 4. And 4 into pi by 4 will be pi, and 2 minus 1 will be 1. So it will be 1 plus 5, right? Okay, 1 plus 5. Answer of question number 10 is 1. Yes, it is a very easy question. Just put like w equal to cos square t plus sin square t, and 1 by z will be t. Yes. Tell Abhishek Anand, please respond. Okay. Yes. Okay. Priyanka, did you got same answer? 1 plus 5 and 1? Question number 9 and 10. very easy. Just take two. Who? Yes. You got one. Okay. So question number 11, you have to here you have to use the chain rule. You can use by using chain rule, but since these questions are easy, so you are just putting the values, right? So okay. Question number 12 are bit tough questions. So I will not orally. I will not discuss question number 12. I will not upload solutions rightly. You try these questions on your own. If not, then I will upload the solutions. I will try to upload the solutions. Okay. And I think question number 13 is very easy question. You can try it. Question number 13. Please try question number 13. क्वेश्चन नंबर 13 हो पाएगा, अदरवाइज आई विल लिविंग इट, आई विल अपलोड द सॉल्यूशन. क्वेश्चन नंबर 13. Okay, I am giving you hints. Just substitute u as x minus y, v as y minus z, and w equal to z minus x. Now what will be the value of fx? Fx will be del f del u into del u del x plus del f del v into del v del x plus del f del w into del w del x, right? And from there you will determine fx. Similarly, using chain rule you can determine fy. Fy will be fy will be fy will be del f del u del y plus del f del v del y plus del f del w del y, and you know that u equal to this, v equal to this, and w equal to this. So from there you can determine del u del x, del v del x, del v del y and all. Then just put and you get plus minus alternate sign terms. It will eventually cancel it out, and fx plus fy plus fz will eventually gives you as 0. Okay, it is just you have to put substitute u v w, this x minus y, y minus z, z minus x as u v w, and then you have to just implement the chain rule. Is it okay? Okay. Fx will be 0. Yes, fx will be 0. Fx no, fx will not be 0. You have to add them up. If you add them up, then you will get 0. I think you are doing some mistakes. Okay, I will upload the solution. Yes, please. Yes, you are absolutely correct. Fx will be del f del u minus del f del w. So are you getting interested in solving these problems? Actually, I tried to fix myself on mostly giving preference to engineering background students. That's why I have put this type of problems. Question number 13. So question number 13. Similarly, can you tell fy, what will be the value of fy? No, del f by del w. yes, it will be, it is a symmetric function. You got it correct. You attend the sessions regularly, right? So that's why you got it perfectly, that it will be, so del f del y, that means fy, the value of fy will be del f del v minus del f del u. And what will be the value of fz? Fz will be fz will be del f del w minus del f del v. That's it. Now you add them up, you will get this zero. Okay. So there are several questions from like question number 14. And these type of equations, they are called Laplace equation. This fuu plus fvb equals to 0. This is also an application of chain rule. This is also application of chain rule. If you just implement the chain rule, you will get the answer. Okay. You have to just implement the chain rule. Okay. And question number 15. These are problems from. Can you recognize that from which topic I have included these questions? If you have watched professor's lectures, then you can easily capture it. Yes. Euler's theorem on homogeneous functions. Okay. So see how you have to solve it. I am giving some hints for this problem. Okay. This or the function u equal to cos inverse x plus y by square root of x plus square root of y. You have to show that x ux plus y uy equal to minus half cot u, and x square uxx plus y xy uxy plus y square uyy. This is equal to minus 1 by 4 cos u cos 2u by sin cube u. Okay. So what is given? U is given as cos inverse x plus y by square root of x plus square root of y. You have to first show this. So this will directly come from Euler's theorem on homogeneous functions, right? And the second one will come from Euler's theorem on homogeneous function, and it is called as Euler's extension theorem. Okay. So first problem, it will come directly from Euler's theorem, and second question will directly come from Euler's extension theorem. So what is given? Given u equal to, please see this problem carefully because you have to solve the other problems using the same technique. Okay. So given u equal to cos inverse x plus y by square root of x plus square root of y. So what is the value of cos u? What is cos u? Cos u is x plus y by square root of x plus square root of y. Now assume this as fxy. So now f is a homogeneous function of degree half. How it is a degree half? See, f of tx ty. What is the value of f of tx ty? It is tx plus ty by square root of tx plus square root of ty. Now take square root of t cancels out, so it will be square root of t left, and this is square root of t into fxy. Okay, using Euler's theorem on homogeneous functions, we get x fx plus y fy equal to f by 2, because the Euler's theorem is x fx plus y fy will be nf, where n is the degree of the function, degree of homogeneity of the function, right? So now the value of f is cos u. So now instead of f, write cos u. So it will be x del x of cos u plus y del y of cos u, and f is cos u, so it will be cos u by 2. So if you differentiate with respect to x, it cos u will be minus sin u, and u, the leftover will be ux. Minus similarly y, cos u, the derivative will be sin u, and since u and y, they are correlated, so you will get u of y, partial derivative y. So now this minus sin u take common and divide it here. So what you will get, x ux plus y ul equal to minus cos u by twice sin u equal to minus cot u by 2. Is it clear up to now? So now we will use Euler's extension theorem. So what Euler's extension theorem tells? Euler's extension theorem tells that if x of ux plus y of uy is f of u, then if you once again differentiate it, it will eventually end up this, that here forget about f, since we have used f notation here. So assume that this minus cot u by 2 as phi of u, assume it another function phi of u, right? That x of ux plus y of uy is phi of u. Okay, so what will be using Euler's extension theorem, what you will get? So x square uxx plus twice xy uxy plus y square uyy, it will be phi of u into ddu of phi u minus 1. Got this theorem? This is Euler's extension theorem, that if x ux plus y uy is phi of u, then x square uxx plus twice xy uxy plus y square uyy, it will be phi of u into phi prime u, that is ddu of phi u, and minus 1. Is this clear? It is just Euler's extension theorem. Is it clear till now? Now it will be x square uxx plus twice x, it will be now simple algebra, x square uxx plus twice xy uxy plus y square uyy, it will be minus cot u, and derivative of cot u is minus cosec square u, right? Derivative of cot u is minus cosec square u. So minus minus will cancel one another, so it will be half will be left there, and derivative of cot u will be cosec square u. So derivative of cot u is cosec square u. So if you, what is cosec square u? Cosec square u, is reciprocal of sin square u, because cosec is reciprocal of sin. Okay, so if you just use simple algebra, it will be 1 minus 2 sin square u divided by 2 sin square u. So 1 minus 2 sin square u is cos 2u, because cos 2u is cosec square u minus sin square u. Am I clear? Cos 2u will be 1 minus 2 sin square u. So now if you just put, so cot u is cos u by sin u. So this cot u is sin, so there will be one sin u here. So that cot u from sin cube u, the one sin u comes from, one sin u comes from this cot. So it will be cos u into cos u by sin cube. Is it clear? Here also there are some examples of Euler's extension theorem also, you will have to just prove it. So first question number 16, first part. So u is this, so take it as f and take it as g. So f is a homogeneous function of degree 2. F is a homogeneous function of degree 2. And g is a homogeneous function of degree 1. So just like take it as f of tx, ty, this. So we say f and g are homogeneous functions of degree 2 and 1 respectively. So you will use Euler's theorem on homogeneous function twice. So what you will get? You will get x fx plus y fy will be 2f, and x gx plus y gy will be c. And hence if you use these things, you will get x ux plus y uy, just add them up, because u is sum of f and g, so their derivatives will be just sum fx and like gx. So it will be twice f plus g. Further, if you use Euler's extension theorem, then from this you will get 2 into 2 minus 1 into f, 2f, and here it will be 1 into 1 minus 1 into z equals to 0. So if you just calculate it, you will get eventually that this will be just 2f into this thing. So okay, now we have some interesting problems. Find the local maxima, minima and saddle points of the point of the following functions. So these are you have to determine local maximum, minimum and saddle points of the following functions. So the first function is also a polynomial function and the second function is also a polynomial function, right? So okay, so critical points of solution of fx equals to 0 and fy equals to 0. So what is the value of fx? Fx will be twice x plus y plus 3, twice x plus y plus 3, and fy is x plus twice y minus 3. So if you equate them with 0, solving this you will get x equals to minus 3 and y equal to 3. So therefore the only critical point is minus 3 3. Now from necessary condition we got the critical points minus 3 3. Now fxx at minus 3 3, it will be fxx will be 2. So at that point it is 2, and fyy is 2, and what is the value of fxy? Fxy is 1. So fxx is greater than 0, and fxx fyy minus x square xy, this is equals to 2 into 2 square minus 4 minus 1, it is 3, which is greater than 0 at minus 3 3. So f has a local minimum at minus 3 3. And what is the value of that local minimum? If you put minus 3 and 3 here, you will get as minus 3 whole square means 9, it will be minus 9, so 9 and 9 will cancel one another. It will be once again 3 square means 9. It will be plus 3x, it will be once again minus 9, so it will once again cancel one another. Minus 3y will be minus 9 and plus 4 will eventually end up minus 5. Is this question clear? So you can, yes. Yes. No, then linear, if you see, if you get fxx equals to 0, right? So if you get fxx equal to 0, so what you will get? You will get minus x square xy, because this term will cancels. So it cannot be a positive there, because it is a real valued function, because minus some square term, so it will be less than 0. Then you cannot conclude, because if xx is greater than 0, you will get minus x square xy, which will be a negative term, x square of something, and a negative will be eventually give you negative. So we don't have any test, sorry, so what you will get? You will get minus f square xy. So minus f square xy is less than 0. So if fxx fyy minus f square xy, it is less than 0, then what you can conclude? You can conclude the point to be a saddle point, right? Is your doubt clear? Okay. Now please try question number this B. I think this is easy question, you can do it. Please try, give a try. I am giving 2 to 3 minutes. Please try question number B, because I have discussed question number A already. Yes, what is the value of that local critical point? What is the value of the critical point? 15 or minus 8. Okay. So what will be the equations we have to determine? It will be twice x plus thrice y minus 6 equals to 0. It will be twice x plus 3y minus 6 equals to 0. And what will be fy? Fy will be thrice x plus 6y plus 3 equals to 0. So it will be, is it what you got? 15 and minus 8. So therefore the critical point is 15 and minus 8, right? And if you apply second derivative test, you are getting fxx into fyy minus f square xy equals to 3, and which is greater than 0. Also fxs is greater than 0, so f has a local minimum at 15 minus 8, and f of 15 minus 8 is minus 63, right? Okay, now question number problem 2. We have put this question, we have to find the absolute maxima and minima of the functions on the given domain fxy equal to x square minus xy plus y square plus 1 on the closed triangular plane bounded by the lines this in the first quadrant. Okay, so you have to determine the maxima and minima. So at which points you have to determine? So it will be like in this plane you have to determine, in this triangular region, right? Then you have to determine on these lines, on these three lines, because absolute maximum minimum you have to consider the boundary. Is it right? You have to consider on the boundary also. Last class we have discussed about absolute maximum minimum, and also you have to discuss at these corner points, these three corner points, right? You have to discuss this triangular region, these lines, and also these three corner points A, B and O. Okay? So solutions. So for interior points, you have this function x square minus xy plus y square plus 1. Just quickly on the interior plane you determine the critical point. Fxy, just put fx equals to 0, fy equals to 0. Just solve it. Just quickly solve it. Quickly solve in the triangular domain. That is the interior domain. How you will getting 0 point in the interior? Okay. Okay. So critical point 0, 0, is it an interior point? It is not an interior point. So critical point is 0, 0, which is not an interior point. So there are no interior points at which you will get maxima or minima, right? So now we have to cross in the boundary points. So first we will move on OA. So what is OA? At OA you get x equals to 0. So you put x equals to 0. What we will get? Y square plus 1. Right? And y square plus 1, and y the range is from 0 to 4. Right? This is the range 0 to 4. So if you take derivative, so what you will get? You will get, so so once again you are getting 0. So once again you are getting this point 0, 0. So it is also not lying on that point. So these also the derivative test fails. So now you just put the two boundaries, that is 0, 0 and 0, 4, right? It is 0, 0 and 0, 4. And how you determine the values? You have to just put here 0, 0 and 0, 4. So you will get f0, 0 at 1 and f0, 4 equal to 17. Got my point? Because this line contains only these 2 points, 0, 0 and 0, 4. So what they will yield? They will yield f0, 0 equal to 1 and f0, 4 equal to 17. Got it? Similarly on AB, what is AB? On AB, y equal to 4. Put y equal to 4. So what we will get on AB? What we will get? We will get x square minus 4x plus 17. Right? X square minus 4x plus 17. So if you take a first derivative, you will get df dx equal to twice x minus 4, which is equals to 0, and it will give you 2. So this boundary there is only one point. This is 2 4. That means this point, this 2 4 point, right? And at 2 4 point you are getting, these are all actually local maximas and minimas. So you will get f24 as 13 and f44 and f04 as 17. If you just put, because here you are getting two points, f04 and f44, right? f04 and it is f44. Is it clear? They are local maximas. Yes. Yes, they are local maximas. Got it? So similarly on OB. So what is the relation of OB? The relation at OB is y equal to x. So just put y equal to x. So if you put y equal to x, so what you will get? It will get as f of xx. And if you put it f of xx, you will get x square plus 1. And it will eventually give you twice x equals to 0. And which will imply x equals to 0. Now see, only from these two lines we have already covered the three boundary points. That is this A point, B point and 0 point. And what are those values? At f00, that means f00 you are getting 1. F04 you are getting 17, and F44 also you are getting 17. So what are the values of absolute maxima? Absolute maxima is 17, and you are getting it as at 04. Okay. And absolute minima is 1, which is you are getting at 0, 0. So what is this 2 4 value? This 2 4 value is actually local maxima minima. This is local maxima 13. How will you check that this is a local maxima? It will be local minima. How will you prove that? If you just derivative, you will get it at 2, and 2 will be 0, greater than 2 will be greater than 0. So this 2 4 will be a local minimum. So there is also one interesting problem, problem 3, that this type of absolute maxima minima I think you can solve, right? Maxima minima, still you have some problem in maxima minima, or you can solve them. Okay, so is my voice audible? So we have to find the maximum of the value sin A, sin B plus into sin C if ABC are the angles of the triangle. So here we will encounter, it is actually problem of constant maxima minima. How? Because that sum of the angles of a triangle will be always 180 degree. Yes. So given A plus B plus C will be 180 degree. So what is C? The value of C is 180 degree minus A minus B. Now take A is equal to X, B equal to Y, and C equal to then 180 minus X minus Y. So if you put here, so you get fxy as sin X, sin Y, sin X plus Y, because sin of pi minus X minus Y will be sin pi minus theta is sin theta. Okay. What is the value of sin pi minus theta? It is sin theta. Now you have to just solve fx. You will get this term. Okay. And then once again you have to solve it as like and if you just like fx equals to 0 will imply this, fy equals to 0 will imply this. So eventually we get x plus twice y, because sin x cannot be 0, sin x cannot be 0. Why sin x cannot be 0? Because if sin x equals to 0, then what will be the value of x? X will be either 0 or x will be 180 degree. 180 degree, not minus. So if x equals to 0, so what will be the other two? Other two will be 90 degree, 90 degree. Is it feasible of a triangle to have one angle 0 and other two as 90 90? It is not. So twice x plus y will be 180 degree, and x plus twice y will be 180 degree. So if you solve them up, you will get x equals to y equal to 60 degree. And this type of functions are called equilateral triangle, because since the angles are equal, correspondingly the sides will be equal to one another. So this type of functions are called, this type of triangles are called equilateral triangles. So the question clear? Yes. Yes, you can use, you will get definitely the same answer. You have to write sin x, sin y, sin z plus lambda of x plus y plus z minus 180. Right? It will be the Lagrange's auxiliary function, or the Lagrangian. The Lagrange's function will be sin x into sin y sin z plus lambda into x plus y plus z minus 180. So now we will check it. So I am using degree notation, but it is feasible to use radian notation. Use like, since I have like notified at 60 degree, so it is okay. But you try to write as like pi by 3. Okay? Because in calculus there is no concept of degree, there is only concept of radian. So here you will get fxx as this, fy. So we got the critical value. Now we have to determine the characteristic of the critical value, that whether the extremum is maxima or whether the extremum is minimum. Right? We have to solve whether the that is extrema or whether it is a minimum. Right? So if you have to use second derivative test, and second derivative test, it will eventually end up you getting that it is nothing but it is a local maximum or relative maximum, with value is this sin 60, that is sin pi by 3 is root 3 by 2, and if it is root 3 by 2 cube, it will be 3 root 3 divided by 8. Okay? Abhishek? Now this is your Lagrange's multipliers method. Can you try it? Using the method of Lagrange multipliers, find the greatest of smallest values that the function fxy equal to xy taken on the ellipse. Just try, take 5 minutes. Priyanka, are you with me? Then please tell everybody that what will be the value of the Lagrangian. and minus 2. Okay, let me, I have solution. It is the value of lambda is 2 and minus 2. Is it? Yes, you absolutely right. It is the extreme values are 2 and minus 2. Yes. अभिषेक आनंद नहीं हो पाया, नहीं हो पाया. Okay, I will discussing. See, so here gxy is the constraint is x square plus x square divided by 8 plus y square by 2 minus 1, and you take this nabla sign. What does this nabla sign means? This nabla sign means gradient, that is term by term partial derivative, right? So nabla of f will be lambda of nabla g. Okay, so if you take nabla of f, it is xy, x into y. So del f del x will be x y, and del f del y will be x. Similarly here it is x square by 8, so del f del x will be twice x by 8, so it will be x by 4, and this lambda will be multiplied, so it will be lambda x by 4. It is y square by 2, so it will be lambda y by 2 lambda y by 2, so it will be lambda y. So what you are getting from here? You are getting from here y is x lambda by 4 and x as lambda y. So if you just put y equal to lambda square y by 4, so y equals to 0 or y equal to plus minus 2. If you solve this quadratic equation, you will get either y equal to 0, or if you just cancel y 1, if you take y you cancel it, if y not equals to 0, then you will get lambda as plus minus 2. Now just put just take here y equals to 0. So what you will get? You will get if x equals to and y equals to 0, then it is not satisfying the constraint, because if you take y equal to 0, does it give that 0 square by 8 plus 0 square by 2 will be 0? So is 0 equals to 1? No, absolutely not. So it is not satisfying the constraint. So if you take y not equals to 0, then lambda will be plus minus 2. And what will be the value of x then? X is lambda y. X is lambda y. How you are getting x is lambda y? From this relation, x is lambda y. So x is lambda y. So now put here x equal to plus minus 2y. Just put here, you will get the values y plus minus 1. So fxy takes its extreme values on the ellipse at the 4 corner points, plus minus 2 1, plus minus 2 minus 1, and the extreme values are plus minus 2. Okay, clear? Anybody else has any doubt, any queries? Okay. Kothandarman Christian sir, do you have any doubt, any question? Okay, are you with me? Are you trying to solve the questions? Okay, then why you are not responding? Please respond, sir. Yes, please respond. Thank you. And also please watch those videos I am suggesting you, because Gilbert-Strong's linear algebra is like, it will be very beneficial for you also to learn linear algebra. Gilbert-Strong's linear algebra, it will be very useful. Yes. For calculus, I think calculus, Professor Jitendra's videos are sufficient. You watch the NPTEL videos of Professor Kumar, it will be sufficient. Also, what problems I am giving, also try to solve those problems. And like those solutions I don't have, I have also solved it. I should have to, I also need to solve them. Okay. Okay, so find the numbers a and b with a less than or equal to b such that integration a to b 24 minus twice x minus x square to the power 1 by 3 has its largest value. Okay, so can anybody at least try, or I should discuss the solution? This problem 5. Oh, there is one typo here. It will be dx. Okay, it will be integration a to b 24 minus 2x minus x square to the power 1 by 3, and there will be one dx term. Okay, it will be one dx there. Okay, Abhishek, हो पाएगा ये question? Okay, I am discussing, no worry. Okay, so we will use fundamental theorem of integral calculus. I don't know that whether this thing is covered, but I thought this problem to be some interesting one, so I am discussing it. So what is the fundamental theorem of integral calculus? This is that ddx of a to x integration f to dt, it is equal to fx. So this relation, this fx to this relation, this is actually the gives you relationship between differential and definite integral. If you that is integration and differentiation are inverse operators, right? So what does it mean that integration and differentiation are inverse operators? Like if you have a function fx and if you integrate it, say you are getting 5x. Now if you differentiate it, you will get the function fx. Very crudely I am telling. So this function, this will eventually give you so this is a definite integral, there will be 1 dx. Okay, there will be 1 dx. So it is a definite integral. So this value will depend upon a as well as at b, right? So what you have to do for critical points, you have to determine del f del a and del f del b. And this is we are using the notion of differentiation under the sign of integration. Okay, so if you differentiate del f del a, so it will be so from here you will get minus of 24 minus twice a minus a square to the power 1 by 3. And similarly you will get, if you just quadratic, if you middle term factor it, a square plus 2a minus 24, you will get the solutions as 4 and minus 6. And since you are taking definite integral, the values of b should be greater than or equal to a. So you will get a as minus 6 and b equal to 4 as the critical points. Clear? Here we are just using differentiation under the sign of integration. I think differentiation under the sign of integration, is it covered? When it will be covered, you will I think you will understand this question then. Okay. Are there any ambiguity on this question? Okay, see, I am very vaguely I am telling. So it is fx. So what is the value of fx here? This. So what will be if a? So this will be like, so if this integration comes to phi x, so what you will write? It will be like phi b minus phi a, and for that minus 1 you are putting here minus, and phi b will be this simply. Got my point? If this definite integral is got it, na? Okay. Question problem 6. Find the minimum distance from the origin to a point on the plane. So any idea? Anybody? How to solve it?
also you can consequently you can put as z equal to x plus 3y minus 6, right? Because z is equal to x plus 3y minus 6. You just put it and take differentiate what I did. I am not reading it. You just carefully watch the method. Just carefully watch the method. If it is clear to you, then I will skip this slide. Just carefully watch it for 1 or 2 minutes. If you completely read it, then tell me. I will skip this slide. Okay, anybody? Do you have any questions, sir? Okay. Okay. This problem, find the minimum distance from the point to the cone z square equal to x square plus y square. So, Nitu, are you with me? Then please tell me that what will be the function? What you have to take the function here? Okay, I have a plus z square, and what will have the value for z square? Z square, the value will be x square plus y square. Put it. So fxy will be x minus 1 whole square plus y minus 2 whole square plus x square plus y square. Right? Now try to determine the extremum points. I am quickly giving you 2 or 3 minutes. Okay? I am switching off my mic. You try. I am rejoining after 2 or 3 minutes. Just couple of minutes I am giving you. Please solve it. Okay? Okay, I am just okay. Sir, please solve the question which I am showing you. Is it visible now? Is it visible now, Krishnan sir? सॉल्व हुआ क्वेश्चन? ओके, नो, okay, I think there is some mistake here. Okay, I think my question is not okay. I just give me anybody else. I will check this one. Okay, I think I have made some typos. You got the points as half and 1, right? So you got half 1 and not root 5 by 2. You will get yes root 5 by 2. Half 1 and root 5 by 2. So what will be the minimum distance? The minimum distance will be half square plus 1 square plus 5 by 4. Yes. So you will eventually get it as 4 by 10 by 4. 10 by 4. Yes. 2. So it will be okay. So it will be 1 by 4. Yes, it will be 10 by 4. 10 by 4. So here I made some mistake. Please note it down. Here the main mistake is there should not be any square here. Okay. Or I think made a mistake here. This will be z, not z square. This will be z. Okay, I am just searching expression for cone. So what is the formula for cone? Equation for cone? It is z equal to I think x square plus y square, not z square. No. So elliptic cone, it will be z square. So I made mistake here. Okay. So I will edit it. There is one mistake. That this square will not come. Okay. This square will not come. So here eventually the answer will be half and 1 and the distance will be 10 by 4. Yes, you are right. So I will edit it. Okay, there is some typos here. Is it clear? I will edit it. No worry, I will edit it. So there is one question that a rectangular box open at the top is to hold 256 cubic semi on sand. Find the dimensions for which the surface area bottom and fourth side is minimized. Okay, so there is one rectangular box we have to open, which is not the surface at the open, it's to open, and it has to hold 256 cubic centimeter of sand. You have to find the dimensions for which the surface area is minimized. So let x be the length, y be the width, and z be the height of the box. since volume is 256 cubic cm, we get xyz equal to 256. That means z equal to 256 by xy. And what is the surface area? The surface area is A equal to xy. Since the top is actually open. What is open at the top? So that's why we are getting xy, because x is the length, y is the width. That's why instead of 2xy we are getting xy, because the top portion is open, so there is no surface there. Got my point? So we have to minimize this A subject to the constant xyz is 256. The cubics, this is 256. So now what will be this fxy? So you just put here the value of z. The z is 256 by xy, z is 256 by xy. If you put here, you will get xy plus 512 by x plus 512 by y. Now you take fx and fy, eventually you will get the solutions. Yes, any questions please? Please respond if you have any question, any queries. Okay, is this question clear? Okay. So this is also a similar question. So here instead of this s is here xy plus twice yz plus zx. What will be the constraint here? Abhishek, what will be the constraint here? A into B into C, but what will be the the function which you have to maximize? What will be that function expression? It will be twice x plus twice xy plus twice yz plus twice zx, and subject to the constant xyz equals to 10. This is because this box is not open. Okay, I am not solving this question once again, because this is just a previous problem. It is here. It will be just the you have to just you have to just determine what is the value of fxyz, and then eventually you have to solve. The above one is surface area is minimized, and here you have to minimize, surface area is fixed and you have to maximize volume, right? Is it okay? I am skipping this slide then. Okay. So the Indian Steel Plant ISP that uses aluminium, iron and magnesium to produce high quality widgets. Widgets means some sort of tools for bolts or nuts, that type of thing. The quantity of widgets which may be produced using X tons of aluminium, Y tons of iron and Z tons of magnesium is XYZ. The cost of raw materials is aluminium 6 per ton, iron is 4 per ton and magnesium is 8 per ton. How many tons of each aluminium, iron and magnesium would be used to manufacture 1000 widgets at the lowest possible cost? Okay. So your what will be so your constant will be xyz equal to 1000 ton, right? And what will be the you want to minimize your cost, because it is a cost minimization problem. So it will be aluminium is x, iron is y, and magnesium is z. Then the cost function will be 6x plus 4y plus 8z, right? Now please solve in your own, that you want to cost the function 6x plus 4y plus 8z subject to the constant xyz minus 1000 equals to 0. Solve it using Lagrange's multiplier method. Just give it a try. कुछ सॉल्व हुआ? Okay, are you with me? So let us assume that we need, yes, y cube equal to 3000. Yes, you got right. Good answer. Y is equal to 10 into 3 to the power 1 by 3. Yes. Yes. What is that problem in getting fractions? Abhishek, is this question clear? So here the given constraint is xyz equal to 1000 and we want to minimize this cost 6x plus 4y plus 8z. So if you just multiply this first three, so if you just take the derivative with Lagrange's multiplier conditions, just like del f, del x and del g, then we will eventually end up getting these three equations. If you multiply them up, you will get lambda cube xyz whole square, and xyz is 1000. From here you will determine the value of lambda, and then from lambda this you will get the value of x, similarly you will get y, and similarly you will get z. So if you now just like 6x plus 4y plus 8z, you put those values and you will end up getting 120 into 3 to the power 1 by 3. Okay. Similarly, this question problem 11. A farm uses wool and cotton fiber to produce cloth. The amount of cloth produced is given by this, where x is the number of pounds of wool, y is the number of pounds of cotton, and x greater than 1. if wool costs $3 per pound and cotton costs $2 per pound, and the farm can spend $B on material, what should the mix of cotton and wool be the produce to produce the most cloth? Okay, so here you have to maximize this QXY subject to the constant PX plus QY equal to B. Got my point? So what will be your function you want to maximize? Is xy minus x minus y plus 1, and the constant is px plus qy equals to b. So from x pound of wool and y pound of cotton, the amount of cloth produced is qxy equal to xy minus x minus y plus 1, given constant is px plus qy equal to b. And if you use Lagrange's multiplier conditions, then eventually you will get, just if you derivative it with respect to x, you will get y minus 1, and if you derivative it with respect to x, you will get p, and since it's Lagrange's multiplier, so it will be lambda multiplied by this. So this will get x minus 1 lambda q, and also this is the condition. So this is the condition there. So this condition, using just put lambda p and then all will eventually determine the value of lambda, and then just put the value of lambda to determine the value of x and to determine the value of y. And by putting the value of xy in qxy, we will get the maximum amount of cloth that can be produced using $B. You go by that? Is it clear? Okay. So find the linear and quadratic approximations to these and compare them with the exact values. Find the linear and quadratic approximation to this and compare with the exact value. So how you will prove it? This is like, so yes. So solution is fxy equal to let x minus 1 whole square by y minus 3 whole square. The given expression is closed, it is close to 4 and 6, because this is close to 4 and this is close to 6. So what is f46? The value of f46 is 1. You determine fx, you determine fy, you determine fxy and fyx, you determine fxx and fyy. At the point of approximation, we have this 4, 6 point, you just put them all, and the linear approximation, it is fxy will be f46 plus x minus 4, right, into fx, it is 2 by 3, it is y minus y0, and y0 is 6, so 5.93 minus 6. So eventually we will get this, and similarly if you use quadratic approximation, you will get this. Is it clear, or I have to discuss it once again? Okay, Abhishek? Neetu? Okay. I have some more slides. Should I continue or should I discuss it in the next class? Okay, thank you. Anybody else? You want me to continue? Okay. Okay, thank you. So okay, just try problem 13 on your own. I have the solution, so you know how to determine linearization the term they are using Taylor's expansion. Now you have to show that fxy is x, e to power xy is differentiable at 1, 0. So try to determine that fxy is differentiable at 1, 0, and its linearization, find its linearization there, and then use it to approximate f1.1 and minus 0.1. So it is close at 1, 0. So you have to here x not equal to 1 and y not will be equal to 0, right? Can you you solve it? Okay, I am discussing. I am just quickly watch my solution. That partial derivatives are fx and this is fy, and these partial derivatives are both continuous at 1 0, and then fxy is differentiable at 1 0, right? Also using the definition term, you can also prove it, x e to power xy. Can you give it a try using the definition of differentiability to prove it? Here it will be too difficult by using the definition. So you have to use the continuity theorem, that partial derivatives are continuous. So here the linearization function is lxy, it will be f of 1 0, it is fx at 1 0 into x minus 1 plus fy at 1 0 into y minus 0. So now f of 1.1, so x minus 1 will be 0.1, and it will be like, so you are getting here x plus y. So 1.1 minus 0.1 is 1, and the actual value is 0.98542. So error is very less. So how you have to determine the linearization, is it clear? Okay. Okay, I have some problems, but I don't have the solutions right now of these problems. I will upload these slides after correction in the next week. Okay, will it be fine? Because there needs some correction in the problem. Yes, yes, video I will try to upload today or in the next class. Okay, I am quickly giving you one problem. Everybody, please write down this problem. This problem appeared in GATE 2020 MA paper. Just quickly take the screenshot. And try this. This will be your home task. Quickly take the screenshot. Abhishek, you took screenshot? Okay, you try to solve. Nitu, Priyanka, Abhishek, Krishnan sir, everybody present in this class, please take screenshot, and it is your home task. In the next class, remember me about this problem. Just try to remind me that you have given us a problem, and we will start from this problem, and then we will discuss about improper integral. Please watch the videos by Professor Kumar on improper integral. Okay. Okay, if you have any question, please ask me about anything. Yes, obviously. Why not? Is Is it visible to everybody? This is my institution email ID. If you have any questions, any queries, any betterment for our this live interaction class, please send me valuable feedbacks.